How's it flying, guys? Thanks, Huck30 here, and welcome back to another Fat Files reaction. This is America's Raisin Cartel on the Fat Files channel. I think I've heard a similar story from Wendigoon's channel before, I think. But either way, different narration styles, so I'm very interested to see what kind of Raisin Cartel shenanigans, like, is this the one that had its own private, merc army, something? I can't, or I might be thinking, you know what, I might be thinking of that one, banana company. Okay, I know that there was a banana company that Wendigoon had talked about, doing a lot of shady stuff, so, and probably nothing related. I'm gonna stop yapping before I just keep proving wrong. Nick here is gonna tell us exactly what this is about. So yeah. Link to the original video, as always, will be in the description. Make sure you've seen it before you watch mine or anybody else's reaction to it. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and go.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I take a little bit of pride in the fact that I don't think I've ever engaged in just downright clickbait with an absurd title that has nothing to do with the video, and I'm not gonna start today. This is absolutely real.
I'm glad that he's one of the people that doesn't use clickbait, because I hate misleading titles that make you go, oh, this is, like, oh, things are changing now, and with no context whatsoever in the thumbnail to go along with that vague title, it makes you like, well, what are you talking about? I have to click in order to know. And I hate that that is what pushes views in the algorithm. I hate that that's a manipulative tactic that works. But with Fat Electrician, he doesn't really need it. He's so engaging as a storyteller that whatever he throws on the screen, you can see it's another Fat Electrician video. Go, oh, I know, I like the stories that he tells. He's funny. Click. And the title can be descriptive enough or give you enough of an idea of some of the subject matter in the thumbnail. It's like, huh, Raisin Cartel? I don't know what the subject, but I know that it's going to be about raisins somehow. I definitely prefer videos that just are at least honest about what they're about, even if it's vague, you know? But anyways, back
Today we're talking about the United States Raisin Cartel, an entity that is so powerful at its peak, was able to confiscate half of a farmer's crop and pay them absolutely nothing in return. This entity was so powerful and so ingrained in the US system that it took a 13-year legal battle going all the way to the Supreme Court twice before it could be overturned. And we're going to get into it right after a word from our sponsor.
Oh, fishing.
Yes, sweetheart.
Where are you?
Fishing, just like you told me to.
Where? I mean, your truck is still here.
I'm just upstairs playing Fishing Clash. It's too cold outside.
Nicholas!
What?
I told you I wanted real fish tonight, not from your game.
Oh, I thought you just wanted me to have fun.
No, never. I can't eat your imaginary fish, just like I can't spend your imaginary internet money.
First of all, Bitcoin is real.
Whatever, your mother's coming over soon, so just go to the store and get some fish.
Okay, fine. Never gonna get laid.
You forgot to hang up, and if you want to get laid more, you gotta last more than 2 minutes.
Okay, first of all, last night doesn't count. It was doggy style, so that's technically 14 minutes, okay?
What
Show
the
some respect.
Gosh. Goodbye.
Bye, love you. Fishing Clash lets you catch way more.
What kind of opening to an ad is that? What kind of... Okay, he's gone some kind of... I'm not going to say too far by any means, because it's funny. But what kind of skit bit was that? Oh my gosh. Oh man. They get oh man.
Fish than you ever could.
Honestly, without going too far into it, they probably could have cut it off at, yeah, well, I can't eat your fake fish, just like I can't spend your fake internet money. Well, it's Bitcoin, it's real, and, you know, whatever. They could have cut that off there and then gone into this part and it'd be good, but the fact they went that little extra step. Oh, man.
Real life from all over the world, all in the comfort of your own home. Not only that, but Fishing Clash is completely customizable, allowing you to unlock and upgrade all of your equipment and even building your own fishing village.
I could see my dad doing this. He loves
allowing you to
fishing.
compete against other people. But you don't just have to play with random strangers on the internet. You can actually join or make your own clan and play with your friends. In addition to that, they're always adding new features like customizable boats and the Versus Arena. And when you use my discount code FATFILES, you're going to get $20 worth of free equipment and power-ups right out of the gate. So if you want to give Fishing Clash a try, I'm going to have a link and a code down below. Let's get back to the video. All right, so generally speaking, whenever you end up somewhere stupid, like, I don't know, having a Raisin cartel, it's usually pretty beneficial to understand how you got to that ridiculous point.
I would like
so
to
that
understand,
we can never,
yes.
ever do it again. So we're going to take it from the top. So our story begins in the 1930s during the Great Depression. Americans are poor and they're starving. So in 1932, they elect a new president, FDR, that is supposedly going to be able to turn this entire thing around.
Supposedly.
So once he gets into office, he pretty much immediately leaps into action, or wheels into action, issuing a ton of new economic policies, most of which were done through executive order. These policies are usually all lumped together and referred to as the New Deal. Now, if you talk to somebody that was alive during this period of time, a lot of those people believe that the New Deal policies is actually what pulled America out of the Great Depression. And then if you talk to a lot of different historians or economists, they believe that the New Deal policies actually prolonged the Great Depression. Regardless, the policy that we're focusing on today.
Yeah, my great-grandmother grew up during the Great Depression. It was not good. They had to scrounge for anything they could to get food, like getting palmetto berries, which, you know, those palmetto fans that you see in certain parts of the South. Yeah, apparently those have some type of berry, but you gotta kind of dig. You gotta kind of reach in deep into the bush to get them. They had to go looking for those to get some kind of food, and my granny and her sisters had to pretend to be boys just so they would be allowed to work in some farmers' fields for a little bit of extra cash for some food, which not much, but
is the AAA, or the Agricultural Adjustment Act, that happened in 1933. Now, what the Agricultural Adjustment Act attempted to address was the fact that pretty much nobody in America had any money for basically anything, including food. That meant if they couldn't buy food, demand went down, which meant the prices went down, which meant the farmers were making less money. And obviously that makes business very hard for the farmers, and some of them were going to go out of business and they weren't going to be able to keep up their operation, and we can't allow that to happen because then everybody's going to start.
Sounds like somebody doing road work.
To death. So the policy's intent was to solve
roads
a
been
very
getting smoothed
good
out.
problem that needed to be solved. However, how they decided to go about it was kind of fucking dumb. Under the Agricultural Adjustment Act, basically the government would collect tax money and then take that tax money and give it to farmers in exchange for destroying or just not planting a portion of their crop. Farmers were literally paid by the government with US tax dollars to burn entire fields of crops. They killed over 6 million pigs and just let the meat rot, and they dumped out millions and millions of gallons of milk.
That is so stupid. In an era where you are telling where people understand, yeah, things are not going good, money is very tight, we can't afford food, and you're going to destroy food? What a retard! Holy crap!
It's amazing what these fools just throw away. Oh well. One man's toxic sludge is another man's potpourri.
Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down as to why this was a stupid fucking idea,
yeah,
people can't afford to buy food, which meant the farmers couldn't sell food. So the government came in and said,
I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Man, don't use Reagan as, like, whatever the man's fault, don't use him as the example, because it's like, this was all on freaking FDR and his administration. Those morons.
Then went to the people that can't afford food and took some of their money by force and then gave it to the farmers to then destroy the food that these people need to eat because they're starving. And then the prices of the food went up. So now the people that already couldn't afford food
really can't afford
food. It's literally so stupid, it's evil. Luckily, we live in America. There's an entire system of checks and balances. And by 1936, the Agricultural Adjustment Act was deemed unconstitutional and overturned by the Supreme Court.
Good. Also, who were the three retards on the Supreme Court at that time that thought, oh, this isn't unconstitutional, like, this isn't, we could let this keep going. I'm glad it was a 6-3, but the fact that there was even anybody still in support of that just freaking. Oh, I mean, more taxes needed. More taxes needed. Are you kidding me? This is a point in time where less taxes were needed. Oh my gosh! Like freaking, how somebody like FDR got elected 4 times. He died in his 4th, but served a full 3 terms, and death had to be what put him out of office. What kind of... how much were they paying? I gotta wonder how much journalists and stuff were being paid off by the administration at that time, because how do you convince so many people, oh, this is a good thing?
So, realizing that what he was doing was stupid, evil, and unconstitutional, FDR just let the idea go like any normal person would. No, I'm just kidding. He pretty much immediately issued another program that was basically identical, but it was just different enough to not be unconstitutional this go around, and that would buy him a couple of more years before they could shut him down again.
Yeah, kind of like somewhat similar to Social Security. I think it was FDR that made Social Security permanent fixture. It was initially what was it? I'm trying to remember the workaround, but there was when Social Security was initially proposed, it was shut down by the Supreme Court for, I cannot remember the specific reason, but then they came back and had changed some of the language. Like they called it I can't remember if it was initially referred to as a tax and changed to, no, it's a buy-in program, or if they changed to calling it a tax. But regardless, the lie that was told about Social Security, from what I've heard Nick saying, like I think he's mentioned it on the Unsubscribed podcast, was basically either Nick or somebody else that I follow. The promise, also see lie, of Social Security was that you are buying into your own retirement, which is not true. You're paying taxes for older people now to be able to be retired. So it's the promise of Social Security is a total lie. Like you're not putting money into some account that you can then withdraw as you get older. You are paying for somebody else to be able to live comfortably. Just like that. So it was. No. Anyways, continuing before things get too...
That was called the Agricultural Marketing Agreement Act of 1937. Now, coupled with that, in 1937, FDR realized that they're just going to overturn his policies again at the Supreme Court level. So he then attempted to pack the Supreme Court so that he had enough people in the Supreme Court to just pass his policies through, whether they were unconstitutional or not. At this point in time, the Supreme Court had 9 Supreme Court justices, and FDR put out a new policy and tried to force it through Congress that would allow him to appoint 6 more for a total of 15 Supreme Court justices. Now, this act that would allow FDR to appoint more Supreme Court justices did not make it through Congress, but a lot of historians believe the reason it didn't make it through Congress was because as soon as all of this added political pressure got placed on the Supreme Court, and it looked like they were going to lose some of their power by diluting the entire court, some of them switched their opinion over to start letting FDR's New Deal policies through. This is commonly referred to as the switch in time to save the 9, referring to some of the justices switching their opinion over to save the effectiveness of the Supreme Court. Basically, the Supreme Court got bullied into letting FDR do what he wanted, whether it was unconstitutional or not. So now that the Supreme Court is scared to shut down FDR for doing anything unconstitutional, in 1938, he reinstates a slightly modified version of the Agricultural Adjustment Act that they had already struck down. Buh! I don't know why you're making FDR seem like he was a bad president. He got us through World War II and he was a great guy. Buh! Okay, first of all, I don't know how he gets credit for getting us through World War II when he didn't even make it through World War II. He passed away before World War II ended. As for being a good guy, yeah, maybe, sure, as long as we're willing to overlook attempting to pack the Supreme Court so that he could continue to burn crops while Americans are starving, confiscating gold from American citizens via executive order, refusing to sign anti-lynching legislation because he didn't want to upset the Dixiecrat voter base in the South, solidifying the Federal Reserve, hiding his disability from the American voter so that he could be the only president to serve more than 2 terms.
You're saying...
Yes.
Let's talk about fine.
Persecuting 600,000 Italian Americans by declaring them an enemy of the state, where they were then subjected to confiscations, internment, and curfews, and then interning 125,000 Japanese Americans in camps where they lost their homes, their businesses, and had to stay there for years for no reason other than the fact that we were at war with Japan, and their family or they came over from Japan to America because they thought America was better. So yeah, if we're willing to overlook all that, he sounds chill as fuck. Probably a great guy. I'm getting sidetracked, I'm sorry. So
yeah, it's one of those things like, oh, like people even from my generation would look back and see, oh, he served 3 terms. Wow, he must have been a great president. Probably not. Probably not. Just, I'm gonna let things lie with that. He did a good job of explaining. But yeah, FDR sounded like a total scumbag piece of crap. Not somebody. If anybody, politician or otherwise, if one of their ideas to attempt to get through a problem is to make the problem actively worse, oh, we've got a shortage on something? Here, let's force people to pay these people that are providing that material that you're short on, and when you pay them, we're going to force those people, the suppliers, to cut down even more on the total amount of product that they have to sell. The total amount of necessities, the total amount of food that they're able to provide, is a total amount of livestock is going to be cut down in half, sometimes literally. And anybody that comes up with that is just an evil person or that stupid. Either way, not somebody we should be wasting our time on.
This is the political landscape we have going into World War II. So World War II happens. America raises a massive army. I think it totaled in almost 16 million men throughout the course of World War II. And obviously, you got to feed 16 million men. And one of the easiest food products to actually buy up and then preserve and ship across an entire ocean without it going bad happened to be raisins. So the United States is now buying up a ton of raisins. So obviously, the demand goes up, meaning the price goes up, meaning more people start making fucking raisins to sell to the US government, because that's how capitalism works. Fast forward, World War II ends, the entire military gets to come back home, resume civilian life. The military shrinks dramatically, meaning that you've got less men to feed, meaning that the US government quits buying so many raisins. Now, all the service members could go home and buy raisins on their own if they liked raisins, but guess what? Nobody fucking likes raisins, so nobody's buying the raisins. The price plummets, at which point capitalism should probably kick in again, and the growers are going to realize, oh, there's not a huge market for raisins anymore. I should probably do something else. Now that's what should happen. But in this particular instance, the government, for whatever reason, decides, you know what? I like raisins. I think we should keep overproducing raisins, and then the government will come up with some solution on how to stabilize the price of raisins.
This looks familiar.
Yeah.
Where have I seen this before? Let me think.
With the cheese. He brought back the cheese. Speaking of which, I'm realizing I'm out of cheese in my fridge. I'm going to be going on a vacation in a little over a week. I don't need to be buying a lot of refrigerated goods. So
The government has a long, proven track record of doing anything at all good. It's obviously stabilizing things. I mean, look at the Middle East. So the government says, okay, here's what we're going to do. Under the authority of the Agricultural Management Agreement Act of 1937, we're going to use that authority to create a new government entity that we're going to call the Raisin Administration Committee. We're going to...
Okay, before we continue, I just remembered another thing that I'd heard about FDR that would probably have some people scratching their heads that might be fans of his. I don't remember where the quote is from, like where to source the quote right off the bat. I don't remember what speech, whether it was a public speech before we entered the Second World War, or if it was in a private something, or if it was in a letter that somebody found that was signed off by FDR. But there is somewhere where FDR was quoted as saying that he admired that Italian gentleman, referring to a certain bald-headed not so good person out of Italy during this time frame. Make of that what you will.
Have a whole government entity at the federal level solely committed to raisins. Now, right off the bat, that sounds kind of dumb, but don't worry, it gets way worse, because the Raisin Administration Committee is actually...
Shoot, one sec. Okay, let me actually... Yeah, he had a... Okay, so I wanted to look up a little bit and make this what you will. But FDR admired how Mussolini handled economics. So, and just he admired the system that they used at that time. Which kind of tied, which if you know about this system, kind of ties into other stuff. But I encourage you to look it up for yourself to see more details. I don't want to waylay this video too much. But I consider that a red flag.
Directly under the authority of the Department of Agriculture. And the reason that's a big deal is because the Department of Agriculture was founded with executive authority in 1862, meaning that the Department of Agriculture is part of the executive branch of the United States government, which more or less means whatever policies they adopt internally are basically de facto written into law. And if anybody disagrees, they have to take them to court and prove that it was unconstitutional, which is a gigantic hurdle that takes years. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you that the federal government
Sadly,
just
yes.
created a new federal entity for raisins that has executive authority. So the Raisin Administration Committee immediately gets to work stabilizing the price of raisins, aka driving the price of raisins up, even though they shouldn't cost that much. So they get to work at doing it, and the plan they come up with how to do it is they're gonna go to every raisin grower, farmer, manufacturer, however you want to do that. You fucking grow grapes and then you leave them out in the sun, whatever that guy is. They go to those guys and they're like, hey, here's the new policy that we've just written into law under nobody's authority. The new rule, the new law is that you're gonna have to give us a certain percentage of your crop every year based on however much we decide you're gonna give us, and you have zero recourse. We're gonna take it for a grand total of free 99. We're not gonna give you shit, and we're gonna hoard it in the National Raisin Reserve. Now, once they're in the National Raisin Reserve,
Another similarity to the freaking cheese video, a raisin reserve. Are we getting raisin bunkers now?
we can go ahead and do whatever the fuck we want with them. A lot of the times we're donating them to the military for rations. We're donating them to schools for school lunch programs. This is why every person my age and 20 years older than me and probably younger than me has eaten a shit ton of these in elementary school. It's because the government was getting them for free by stealing them from farmers. Now, to be completely fair and intellectually honest, there was a way that the farmers could make some money from the National Raisin Reserve, and that was if the administration committee decided that they weren't going to donate it to school programs or the military or sit there and let it rot, which they did to a ton of raisins. They just literally rotted and they had to throw them away. If the entity did decide that they wanted to sell some of the raisins to a foreign market that didn't interfere with the American raisin price, whatever they sold that for, the farmers would get a kickback. But if they did sell it, it was at a highly reduced rate, and the money amounted to nowhere near the cost of actually growing the raisins. Okay, do you understand what has happened? This is literally
Scummy stuff.
a raisin cartel. Like, this isn't clickbait. This isn't, oh, the fat electrician came up with a funny name for his YouTube title. No, the definition of cartel is literally, and I quote, an association of manufacturers or suppliers with the purpose of maintaining prices at a high level and restricting competition. It is straight up
literally
a
is.
raisin cartel.
People, listen up. This is a national security emergency. We have an imminent threat.
The Raisin Administration Committee is literally rolling up to every raisin grower in the country saying, give me a cut or else. And this goes on from 1949 until 2015, but the hero of our story comes into play in 2002.
Yes,
and that
tell
hero
us, tell
is
us.
a humble raisin farmer by the name of Marvin Horn, who in 2000/2003 was told by the Raisin Administration Committee that this year they would be confiscating 47% of his crop and giving him fucking nothing in return. Just so we're on the...
That's when you go guns blazing. I just friggin' the overstep of... I didn't want to be super angry today, but that's hearing stuff like that makes me angry, even if it... I hope that some of that's been settled, but that's theft. That's theft. That's theft. That's legalized theft.
Same page. The federal government rolled up to a raisin farmer and said, hey, I'm going to steal 47% of your crop, but don't worry, you can keep the other 53%. But I just need to mention, once you sell that 53% of your raisin crop, that's going to count as income, and you're going to have to pay income taxes. And then whatever money is left, you can have to spend on whatever you want. But whenever you spend that money, I'm also going to charge you sales tax. It's literally the mafia. Anytime money moves, you got to give the grape father a cut, okay? You're dealing with the grape fellas. I'm so sorry. Okay, one. I did one dad joke. I'm done. Okay, it's just the
No, you're
entire
not.
situation is completely unreasonable. Yeah, man.
Nick, oh my god, I missed my period.
I know.
What do you mean you know?
I heard it through the grapevine.
Goodbye.
As I heard it through the grapevine.
Anyways, by this point, Marvin Horn is driven to the brink. He can't stay in business functioning like this, so he's just driven to the edge, and he finally...
Also, hold on a second. Was that a pregnancy announcement? Probably. It more than likely is just a joke for the video, but that's just...
stands up for himself and he says, no, I'm not going to keep living like this. I'm not going to give you 47% of my entire crop. I'm going to keep everything that I own and I'm going to sell it myself. And the Raisin Cartel is immediately furious.
Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions.
So the Raisin Administration Committee orders him to pay back the value of the raisins to the committee, approximately $400,000. And then, because he wasn't a good little boy that just forked over half of his living, they decided they were also going to fine him an additional $200,000 for his disobedience, which apparently is completely legal because they have executive authority, which means apparently you can do whatever the fuck you want all the time and it's not against the rules. So Marvin Horn realizes he's going to have to defend himself, so he starts looking into the law and he starts at the first place that you should always start, the Constitution. Okay, Amendment number 1 says I can pray to whoever I want and say whatever I want, and you're not allowed to stop me. Amendment number 2 says I have guns if you disagree with the first one. And rule number 3 says I don't have to have soldiers sleep in my house. Rule number 4 says no unreasonable searches and seizures. Oh, here we are. Rule number 5, where it clearly says, and I quote, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Sounds to me like it's a pretty clear-cut case of it's a violation of the Fifth Amendment. So obviously, they go to court. Marvin Horn wins immediately because he can literally read the 5th bullet point of the founding document of the entire fucking... No, I'm just kidding. A 12-year legal battle ensues that goes all the way to the Supreme Court, gets kicked back down into another district court, and then goes back to the Supreme Court again. So after a damn near 13-year-long legal battle, Marvin Horn finally wins with the Supreme Court siding in his favor in an 8-1 decision. And this is the part where I wish I could end the video...
Who was the one idiot that thought that, oh, you know what, but that poor Raisin Cartel, they just want the money so they can do stuff that they want for their projects, you know, they need... Screw whoever the one dissident was.
Just saying, like, hooray, the good guys finally won in the end, and it all worked out, and we all got together and sang Kumbaya by the fireplace. The Raisin Administration Committee lost its federal status, and they just became a lobbying group. The Federal Raisin Reserve evaporated into thin air, and it all went away, and all was right in the world. But my brain doesn't work that way, because I have to know who the Supreme Court justice was that voted against Marvin Horn. So I looked into it, and of course, it was Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor. So I went, I found her...
I'm so happy. That's so great that he pronounced it like Sotomayor. I know it's Sotomayor, whatever. Sotomayor. Yeah, that sounds more fitting.
Dissenting opinion where she wrote it up. I'm not going to read it to you guys because it's like 20 pages and it's all in lawyer jargon. But the abbreviated version of her argument was she didn't believe what the Raisin Administration Committee was doing was technically a taking. And her justification for that was, well, technically, even though the Raisin Administration Committee did in fact take his shit without his permission, they could have potentially, if they decided to, sold some of those raisins. And if they did sell some of those raisins, they were gonna give him a small portion of the proceeds. Therefore, that's not technically a taking.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Do you understand how violently stupid that opinion is? Okay,
beyond stupid.
Let's apply this logic
retard.
to any other situation.
Total retard.
Let's say that I'm a burglar and I break into your house. I sit you there on the table and I take 47% of all the shit in your house. I steal it. I walk away. I'm fucking gone. Later, the cops catch me. Okay, and while I'm arrested in handcuffs and they take me into court, I look the judge in the face and I go, "Well, Your Honor, it technically wasn't me being a burglar and stealing because I was considering considering selling some of their shit at a heavy discount to a pawn shop. And if I did that, I had every intention of giving them some of the money back later. Do you think the judge would let me not go to prison? No, because that's fucking dumb. Okay, I don't even know how I got here. Okay, like a week ago, I got an email. Somebody said like, hey, fat electrician, you should look into Marvin Horn, the raisin farmer that defeated the federal government. And now I have this conspiracy theory about how FDR created a raisin cartel that extorted raisin farmers for 7
Not even a
years
theory.
straight.
It's literally
And I'm making
happened.
a video for the internet, probably pissing off the raisin cartel. And now I need to go into witness protection because they're going to come and sun dry me and my whole family. I have to go. I got to go get ready for an altercation with the Raisin Mafia, I think. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
How does this video end?
And now we wait. Yeah, babe.
You just got a weird package from the Raisin Administrative Company.
Don't open.
Do not open.
There's still a lot I need to catch up on. That's a perfect way to end the video. Oh, that was a perfect way to end the video. The amount of unconstitutional stuff that has passed and has been enforced in direct violation of our rights is infuriating. Screw FDR for that crap. Screw Sotomayor for her retardation. Just a lot of these people just need to be I'm happy that Horn won his case. I am upset that it took so long, because that should have been the clearest cut case of, yeah, this is stupid. This is theft. No, y'all lose instantly. This is stupid. It just should have been a case that was, yeah, this is clearly illegal, clearly unconstitutional. This man wins. Y'all can pack your stuff and go home. And we're about to make sure, we're going to kick this up, make sure that y'all get disbanded entirely. Y'all ain't going to be nothing more than a lobbyist group. Just, that's what more that needs to happen. Before I continue to be violently upset, I'm gonna get off and do something to calm down. That was informative. That was informative. I'm gonna be calm. I'm gonna find something to calm down. Either I'm gonna play Subnautica on my PS4, I'm gonna pop something in the N64, or I'm gonna watch some classic Tom and Jerry. I'm gonna find something to calm me down, because just that made me violently angry. Okay, I'm gonna end it here. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Like if you enjoyed. Comment what your favorite part of the reaction was / video, and what you feel free to share your own frustrations about the historical unconstitutionality of idiots like FDR. Subscribe if you're new and tap the bell to get notified whenever I upload videos so you don't miss any reactions, gameplay, or otherwise from me. Also, go check out my Discord. Link is in the description. Come join me. We'll talk, post memes, song videos, artwork, you can promote your own stuff, and just have some fun. This is Lance Corporal Hawk 30, signing off.